Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's August, and nothing says August like wrapping up preseason NFL football. The hot takes, we're already crowning Super Bowl champions and future Hall of Famers. What a time to be alive, right, Colum?
Absolutely, Mike. Preseason may have wrapped up, but let me tell you, the spin machine is in mid-season form, and we have some absolute beauts to talk about on our very first episode.
We do, and we're naming names too. Ladies and gentlemen, NFL fans, welcome to the premiere of Spin Zone, Power PR, and the NFL. I'm Mike Carmelini.
And I'm Colum Cronin. This is a show about football, but it's not about the X's and O's. We are looking at the stories behind the headlines, the way owners, teams, media, agents, they all spin and they shape what we read and what we see. And that's what we're going to be talking about.
Oh, boo. Do they ever? And so weekly, we've got some segments. We're going to have a Spin Zone time machine. We're going to go back and look at some of the craziest stories ever in the NFL, and we're going to break them out for you. What's cool about that is we've seen them resolve, so we know what happens, and we can actually show you what happened and what was reported at the time. We're going to do deep dives on some of that stuff and really get into the nitty gritty. But look, we're not going to take it too seriously. We're going to have fun here. And hey, no agendas, right, guys?
No agendas, Mike, no hot takes, no fake outrage. We can promise our viewers and our listeners that. I think we are, though. We can also promise them that we're definitely going to discuss and dig into some of the stuff that the league probably, would prefer that fans didn't take too much notice of.
Yeah, I don't think we want to be discovered by Roger Goodell too quick. I think that would be, he's been known to pull the plug on some people, and we'll get into that one too. That's a great story. I don't know if we want to bring that one out right away, but what we could do is get right into silly season. Colum calls it silly season. I like it hot take season. Any way you look at it, 'tis the season to be crazy, because we're going to get into some of the latest stories and tweets. Colum, are you good with that? Can we bring up some of these and talk about them? Are you cool with that?
Oh, absolutely. I said at the top of the show, we had some buttes to discuss. And I think, why not start with a guy who the one and only Pat McAfee told us was going to lead the Indianapolis Colts to the Super Bowl. Now, Mike, you and I know a thing about the last QB who took the Colts to a Super Bowl. We were fortunate to see him come to Denver. But Anthony Richardson's, safe to say, has had an interesting offseason. And this is one that really caught your eye.
It did. I like to call these calling your shot. So sometimes people just have to be out there, they love to hear themselves talk, but they like to call a shot, they want to be right. And if they're right, they're going to remind you of it. Well, on this show, we'll do both. We'll give people credit where credit's due, but more often than not, stuff like this comes back to haunt people. And so this is one of those, have you seen the memes where it's like how it started, how it's going? All right, so that's how it started. And just a few days ago, Tom Pelissero, he of the NFL Network, with this beautiful tweet. Now, folks, there are several reasons that people tweet. One, engagement, they also do some fairly not so subtle narrative pushing. Now, Tom's an employee of the NFL Network and probably a good friend of Anthony Richardson's agent, I would guess, based on this tweet. But for those of you listening on the Spotify or Apple, Tom writes, Daniel Jones opted for a 1-year, $14 million deal in Indianapolis over an offer from Minnesota, in large part because he wanted an opportunity to start. And he gets it with the Colts and just turned 28. Meanwhile, Anthony Richardson, still only 23, here's the best part of this tweet, gets the opportunity to sit and learn. Wow, what an opportunity Anthony Richardson just got to learn from, of all people, Daniel Jones. Oh my gosh. Now, this is the spin zone of the spin zones right here, guys. There's so many levels to this, but Colin, what are your thoughts on this? I found this just fascinating how this was written by Tom.
Yeah, I mean, he is, I suppose, one of the NFL Network's insiders.
Yeah.
So
Huh?
we know the reality is, and I hope that, we can maybe pull back the curtain a little bit. Maybe there are people, understandably, Mike, who don't really know how that these guys get their info, and they're leaked their info. They're given their info by players, by agents, by owners, by teams, by different people. And that is why, I always urge people to, you know, uh,
Who
use a
benefits
use
most?
a use a truckload of salt when
Yeah.
it comes to taking what is said at face value, because there is a reason that it's being put out there. And we know that people in pro sports, and this is not just the NFL, it is not just football, this is across the world of pro sports, they have agendas and they put stuff out there. And it does not necessarily what you read, there might be layers, let's put it that way. And
Yeah.
I think the fact that they are spinning this as the opportunity to sit and learn, it harkens back to the olden timey days in the NFL, when it was a very different sort of league. But the opportunity, imagine having the opportunity to sit on
Sit and
the
learn.
bench and read the playbook behind, as you have pointed out, Daniel Jones. I can see why this particular nugget grabbed your attention, Mike.
Well, if it said Peyton Manning instead of Daniel Jones, I'd feel better about it, but it didn't. Also, just as a follow up, about 10 minutes before we went live, now we're answering questions if the team is trading or not trading QB Anthony Richardson. Begs the question, who would want to trade for him anyway? But it's just funny how we went from winning a Super Bowl to we're not trading him. So it's a crazy, crazy world out there. And Twitter is X is just a place where people drop their pants every day for us, and it's up to us to figure out why they do it. So, anyways, yeah, that's why that one caught my eye. That's
It's
definitely
the journey.
narrative.
It's the journey of that one, Mike. It is the
Yeah,
fact that we went from winning a Super Bowl to backing up Daniel Jones to no, definitely we're certainly not trading him, which is
absolutely
almost
not.
always a signal that a
Dude,
team is very open
putting it out there, we're
to
open.
anyone making an offer.
Anybody wants to make an offer, we're down for it. Yeah. Let's move on from that one. Love that one. Now, Kay Adams from the Up and Adams show, she's going to be just a lifeline for a show like this. She gets people to talk. Now, Colin, this one caught your eye. What was it about this little tweet? For those of you listening, Quinnen Williams on being the second longest tenured player on the Jets. Quote, I wouldn't want to be any other place, end quote. What do you think of that, Colin?
I think Quinnen Williams is a wonderfully entertaining individual. I don't know if people who are watching or listening have seen the video of him when he sneezes and he blesses and he thanks himself,
No, what happened?
which is magnificent. And if you have not seen it, I urge you to seek that video out. I remember
Wait a minute. Making note. Quinnen
my
Williams sneezing video.
well worth your time. I showed it to my octogenarian mother a number of years ago, and she laughed heartedly at it. So
Okay.
I say that to add context. He is entertaining, but this is simply really, he doesn't want to be any other place than the
Yeah.
Jets, the goddamn Jets, the, the New York Jets, who
Yeah.
play at MetLife, the
Yeah.
stadium
This
that
isn't
is.
1965, or
And no, we are a long way. The Jets have been consistently one of the worst teams in the NFL over the past 30 years. And the last decade have been a real struggle, no matter what they try and do. You
Mhm.
also are dealing with a very unique owner in some ways in Woody Johnson. And the MetLife turf. This is another piece what
Sure.
that's get, I suppose, goes a little bit under the radar. Mike, maybe I don't know, is it talked about as much stateside as here? Because over here, obviously, soccer is so big, and we find it fascinating that the NFL, which is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and these guys have to go out and play on that turf. And then when the World Cup rolls into town, Woody Johnson and the Jets are gonna rip up that turf that causes all the problems, and they're gonna put grass down because that's what
Right.
FIFA insists on for the World Cup. And so they're happy to do it for soccer players when they roll into town once every 4 years, but not for their own guys. So I find this fascinating. This is, one of those situations, I suppose, it's what he has to say, but it's the fact that this gets played, this gets put
Yeah.
out as a tweet, this gets discussed, it gets radio time, it gets TV time, this will get analyzed in blogs, this will get analyzed by fan sites on
On this
Reddit,
show.
on Twitter, on this show. And ultimately it's fluff, it's
It's a fluff
nonsense.
piece. Yeah.
We know that. Are you telling me that if the Philadelphia Eagles were to make a serious offer, that Quinton Williams wouldn't be like, yes, please, I'll head on down the road, and I'll plant my flag here for a while. But as you say, I do think Kay Adams has an ability to get people to talk.
Yeah. Kay Adams, she's nothing to sneeze at. All right. Again, Kay Adams. Aaron Jones says, rookie JJ McCarthy, has he played a single
He
down
has
in the
not a single snap thus
disgusting?
far.
JJ McCarthy has the same football IQ as Hall of Famer to be, I assume, Aaron Rodgers. I would file that under a really bold statement. This kid has not played a down, the same football IQ as Hall of Famer Aaron Rodgers. Hell of a compliment. Again, Kay Adams, this is a fluffy little tweet, fluffy little segment. Good for him, I guess, saying that. Batshit crazy. Like nothing's been done. Not one down has been played. I think that's interesting. And here's one of my favorite of all is Russell on his fourth team in 5 years now. Is that right? Or fifth team in 4 years? I can't keep track. Seattle, Broncos, Pittsburgh. Okay, Giants, 4 teams. Russell Wilson says he's a little lower than 215 pounds and is ready to roll into the season. Kay Adams again bringing that out. What are your thoughts on that, Colum? Do you have thoughts on Russell Wilson?
I have many thoughts on Russell Wilson. And what I love is that this tweet opens with glimpses of 2014 Russ in 2025.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
11 years have passed.
We're going to talk about, the spin zone time machine. Apparently, Russell Wilson has a literal time machine that he can get into. Now, he didn't break it out in Denver. He didn't break it out in Pittsburgh. But
No.
apparently, the New York Football Giants are going to be the ones that see it. I think this is interesting on a number of different levels, because we've seen this story before. We saw it last year in Pittsburgh. We saw it 2 years before that in Denver, and even in Denver in 2023, Mike, we saw it with Russ had such a bad season, and there were so many different factors, and now he's got Sean Payton, and he's going to be the comeback player of the year. And there was, again, all the narrative, all the spin, and none of that was true then. And I find the piece just, the fact that they're mentioning it, we get to talk about it. He's a little lower than 250. When Russ rolled into Denver, he was not in shape, and nobody
Big boy.
talked about that.
Yeah, very
He
few.
had put on a huge amount of weight. It got talked about the next season when Russ is slimmed down. He looks so much better. It's like,
Yeah,
guys, is there any of you going to point out what happened last year? Anyone
yeah,
prepared to discuss that? And I think that's the kind of thing we want to maybe highlight a little bit on this show. That's just an instance of it. But think about it from your own team. This is not something that's honestly unique to Denver. You and I have more than a few decades of watching the NFL, of watching the media. We've seen it. And I think that's what, again, peeling back the curtain, taking a look at the things that are said, but the things that go unsaid as well.
yeah, for sure. And there's certainly the national narrative, the local narrative, and then there's the new. I think we probably fall into it. We are, I don't know, content creators, podcasters, YouTubers, whatever they're calling us now. But there were more people talking about that stuff outside of the control of the NFL, which I thought was interesting. How it was ignored on one side and addressed on the other, because Russell Wilson looked a little tubby and slow when he came in, and it was being talked about. Now, on that note, I will say, those of you who don't know, Colum Cronin is in Dublin, Ireland right now. And he is the host of the Dublin to Denver podcast. He and his esteemed colleague, Mr. Roach. And I'm the host of Mic'd Up Broncos right here at the Carmelini Ranch in a hidden location. So we do, full disclosure, we both do Denver Broncos shows. This is not a Broncos show. If you hear the word Denver or Broncos, it's just a coincidence. It means absolutely nothing. I promise. No agenda.
I know it's good to. We want to be upfront about these
Yeah.
things. I have covered the league for the Irish NFL show.
NFL show.
Did that for the better part of half a decade. So used to and I've always been interested in, as I think you have, Mike, about more than just the team that we support. It's kind of looking at the ecosystem that is out there around the league. So we will cover Denver where it's appropriate, but this certainly will not be a show that is Denver only.
Yeah, and for myself, it's been I've been a media critic only about 4 years now, but I love the criticism when it comes to me. I deserve it, but there's just something about the way things get covered now that fascinates me. And turning a personal hobby into a full show of being the watchdogs of NFL media is a dream come true. And speaking of former players who are now Chase Daniel with the Athletic, and just recently with ESPN now, so he's with both. He is quite the little hot taker in preseason. I would file this guy under hot taker. I don't know. Silly season. Chase Daniel, August 21st. Jackson Dart is ready to play right now. Reminds me of Dak's 2016 preseason. Stands out and almost took the job. 68 complete. Goes into some stats here. Not an easy decision for Dable. This is based on a preseason record of whatever Jackson Dart did. And I saw some of his highlight plays, and yeah, the kid looks good. But we're ready to crown him. This is just kind of a Chase Daniel thing. His next one, August 16th, Jim Harbaugh is turning Trey Lance into something else. This is one pass that was made, and he's turning him into something else. Now, I don't know if there's any nefarious reason for Chase Daniel to make statements like this, but they're pretty outlandish tweets. This is the spin of hype. This is a hype. These are hype tweets. Like, I don't really know what to do about them. They don't bother me. I just think they're funny. Like, they're not harmful in any real way to me. Colin, do you have thoughts on this kind of stuff about putting guys in the Hall of Fame after a preseason show?
I think maybe on an individual level they aren't that harmful, but for me, Mike, I think the collective weight of telling everyone that they're brilliant all the time, especially in preseason, because we have seen this, and it's like they think that the flash gun from Men in Black actually exists and that all our memories get wiped at the end of every season. We saw Kenny Pickett in preseason just a few years ago. And Kenny Pickett and the Steelers, they were phenomenal in preseason. And everyone talked about, oh my goodness, Mike Tomlin and the Steelers have found their guy. Combined with Mike Tomlin's ability to coach, the Steelers are back. The Steelers are going to march. Well, Kenny Pickett has been on as much of a journey as Russell Wilson, and a guy who's still on the road. So I get it. I think for Chase, he's new enough into the media business. You got to try to make friends, keep people on side. This is the type of stuff that helps to ingratiate yourself into the court, Mike.
Yeah. And let's be honest, as a fan, when someone hypes your team or hypes your player, it gets you hyped. And then you want to follow somebody who's being positive. We're positive here. We're positive that Kenny Pickett was just brought up. And what timing? Mary Kay Cabot, Cleveland.com, 250,000 followers on Twitter, by the way. So before you say anything, she says with authority, she's calling her shot. First of all, she says on August 23rd, the Browns will keep all 4 quarterbacks, which has always been the plan. All right. And later, she reposts that and adds, and no, the Browns aren't cutting Shedeur Sanders or trading Kenny Pickett. I follow that with a slide that shows that Kenny Pickett was indeed traded, I believe, to the Raiders. Is that true? How can that be, Mary Kay Cabot? Don't call your shot, people. We're watching you. If you're going to call your shot, you better know what you're talking about. Dying on the hill for stuff like this is just amazing. At least say, I don't think or I don't believe. Do yourself a favor. When you say, and no, the Browns aren't cutting Shedeur Sanders and trading Kenny Pickett. Well, or trading, by the way, she didn't give herself an out. She said, or. Yeah, he got traded. Of course he did. Probably just because you tweeted that, Mary Kay. So welcome to the spin zone. Colum, those are the kind of ones that I feel no guilt about calling people out over. It's the holier than thou, I know more than you do sort of tweets that I latch onto that are like, we had one locally in Denver with a wide receiver, Devon Vele. We had a radio host on Twitter and on air saying he's not going anywhere. He's a starter. And everybody's like, and our line is like, I don't know, man. He's a trade candidate. If you're going to trade somebody, you can probably get some value for him. And he's like, you guys are idiots. You don't know what you're talking about. Next day he got traded and the backtracking begins. I feel like you got to be really careful with that stuff. And so I found this a little fascinating. And the reason I put it on here is there are 250,000 followers on Twitter. She deserves it. Jordan Schultz, by the way. Colum, would you describe the scene? Would you set the scene up for our listeners here?
Indeed, for those of you who are listening in audio only format, this is a tweet from Jordan Schultz where he has a video of the Buccaneers in their preseason game against the Buffalo Bills. And some of you may have seen or may have heard about it, but it is a video in which Shiloh Sanders gets ejected and Jordan is very upset about the fact that Shiloh got ejected, and if you were to just read the tweet, what a joke! Bucks rookie safety Shiloh Sanders was ejected for this question mark, like really question mark. Be better, NFL refs. And you would be convinced that Shiloh Sanders had been ejected for the game for the mere act of looking in a negative or nasty way towards one of the Buffalo Bills players. But no, Shiloh Sanders threw a punch in direct view of the NFL official, as the community note on the tweet note, and as the video below
Clearly
shows.
shows. Yeah.
Now, I think going back to what was part of this, Mike, I think is a desire by some of these, particularly the insiders, to keep in with players and with agents, and they're happy enough to embarrass themselves, because some of this is, I mean, Schultz is he's a smart guy. I've met the guy. He's smart. I've spoken to him. I've interviewed him, but he has to know when he puts that out. We can all see the video, Jordan. We can watch what happened. That's why you got called out on it, and he's doing that in order to keep in with Shiloh, with Deion Sanders, with the agent, and so that they will continue to give him stories. So he's publicly had his pants pulled down, and yet it just continues. He'll do the exact same thing next week, and I think maybe the hope is that there's so much content that we will just forget. And I think there's probably not too much of a forlorn hope, because so much happens, but hopefully on this show we are going to call stuff back. We do have memories, and we'll bring stuff up.
But is it, I mean, can it be as simple as the engagement farming type stuff that you hear about? Is that part of it? Is it like these guys, like, Schultze's no dummy. Like, he knows what he's doing. I just don't think, like, maybe this is our first disagreement. I don't know if we disagree or not, but I don't think that Schultze gives two shits of whether we forget or don't forget about it. Like, I honestly think when he wrote that, he was giggling. He's the exclamation point of what a joke. For this, really be better. Like, that almost sounds like engagement farming, like baiting us to complain, to get the attention that we're giving him right now. Maybe, I mean, I don't know. Is he a big Bucks fan?
I don't. I think he, as an insider, he needs to keep in with them, and I think some of it is,
or maybe, yeah, like you said, he's defending. But I don't think he had a problem with putting it out there, because
but I think in terms of wanting the net, they do want to be taken seriously at times. They want to put, because he's an insider. He is happy. I mean, we'll get into in another episode. He has had spats when he's felt he's been called out or undermined unfairly by other NFL insiders, Ian Rappaport. But I think back to the fact.
Sorry, on my Ian Rappaport.
So the fact that Robert Saleh, right, would go to the podium, and he would say things, like Zach Wilson gives us the best chance to win.
Sure.
And that he didn't. No, he didn't. That it was very clear. But he had to say that. I don't think I think it is a mixture of things. But I think when you are told to disbelieve what you can see with your own eyes, there's an agenda, whatever the reason behind the agenda is, but you've got to realize at that point there's an agenda, there's a reason they're putting this up.
With that being said, Colum, when you see this, folks listening at home, from A to Z Sports, this is June 2nd, 2025, by the way. Mike Payton. The title of this article, Frank Ragnow being unhappy with his contract is actually a really good thing for the Lions. These are the types of headlines that I don't know what to say about something like that. That is spin. I love the spin there. I'm sure that having players unhappy with their contracts and is really good for the team in some way. But I'm not going to read that article to see what it was. We're going to move on. We've been at this for 30 minutes. We've got to bring in what we call some of the more we're just going to call this segment our clown of the week. And I think this clown is such a piece of crap. We're just going to have to name it after him. Like maybe we should just name this the Dove Kleiman clown of the week. Is that even possible that we could do something like that? Colin, would that be appropriate?
I think we can. I think he is deserving of it. And I think it's kind of fitting, Mike, that we name it that, because we know that Dove Kleiman was or is a real person, but he sold the account. So it is a collective,
it's a collective of assholes,
a circus of clowns.
Yeah.
So welcome to the circus, and welcome to the clown show. And the clown with the biggest, brightest red nose, the biggest wig, the biggest clown shoes, and the smallest clown car is Dove Kleiman, who is truly not just an annoyance, because certain things, there's so much out there. A mosquito doesn't annoy an elephant, but he is or the account is such a bad faith, bad take, hot take machine that looks to engage in engagement farming, in bait, and some of the really more awful and insidious tactics that you will see. And I think we have to lead with this guy, because he is the or the account is the epitome of, I think, the worst aspects of NFL media.
Right. Instead of one asshole, now it could be several assholes, and we just don't know who they are. But we're going to call them Dove Kleiman anyway. For those of you listening to this tweet here, I'll just sum it up for you. He's basically saying the Browns cut 4 of the 5 offensive linemen who were blocking for rookie QB Shedeur Sanders in their last game. Ends it with Shedeur was set up to fail. His next Titan star rookie QB Cam Ward held his teammates accountable today after a lazy practice. Ward is up at 5 a.m. every day watching film. Here's my favorite part. Doesn't wear flashy jewelry. Only talks to his parents, his dog, and his teammates. Tennessee drafted their franchise guy. Doesn't wear flashy jewelry. God forbid a 20-something-year-old newly rich kid wears a little bling. Pushing a little racy. This is a little racy for me. Dove Kleiman telling on himself here a little bit. Now, this is where he goes into piece of shit stratosphere for me. Colin, would you lead us through this one? I think you're familiar with this one.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And this is, again, for people on audio. This was a tweet that the Dove Kleiman account put out around Chargers tackle Rashawn Slater. And he where to even begin, Mike? The fact that he headlines this legendary Chargers star tackle Rashawn Slater finalized his divorce from his wife recently. Today, Slater signed a $144 million contract extension with the team, including $29 million signing bonus. Talk about good timing. Everything about that is disgusting. Slater and his now ex-wife have talked very publicly about, or certainly she came out to say, things they got married very young. It didn't work out. I think that's a very sad situation for an individual when any relationship, let alone a marriage, breaks down. People, you don't want to see that. There's huge pressure when you get married young. You add money into the mix, and the their split had absolutely nothing to do with money. She was not looking for this. This is, again, it piles on really terrible assumptions that account makes about how the worst aspects of people's behavior. And it's that sort of stuff. It's the stuff around the Shadura piece that you showed, where you finished that with set up to fail. Set up to fail in part by the media. Like,
Yeah.
it's not the Browns set him up. This is, I suppose, where we talked earlier about the hype tweets. That's where it can go wrong, right? Because Shadura Sanders played the first preseason game, had a decent game, but it's preseason, and all of a sudden people started taking these victory laughs, saying, "Oh my
Sure.
goodness, look at this!" And it's where it kind of gets out of control. But Kleiman, he revels in the misery of others, and he celebrates it, and he monetizes it, or the account monetizes it. And I think it is absolutely disgusting behavior. This is he also steals material from others.
Sure.
And he's notorious for it, putting his own watermark on stuff that other people have put out there, have worked on. There's no redeeming features in this account in any way, shape, or form, and we would all be infinitely better by muting the Dove Climate account.
I say we just beat the crap out of him on every episode we ever do. I think he deserves that.
We could have that. We could do a Dove Climate segment every single week from here to eternity.
Now, I know maybe I treated Schultze wrong there with the but these guys. Now, there are some of our NFL media types that maybe they do know what they're doing. So maybe they've got us right where they want us. There's an awful announcing. The headline of this is Freezing Cold Takes Twitter account, quote, had to put a limit, unquote, on exposing Skip Bayless and Colin Cowherd. There's a lot of these guys on TV who are trying to be interesting more than trying to be right. Now, these guys are playing a character, right? Colin, are we to believe that these guys believe what they're saying half the time?
No, they do not. They are playing a character, and I would say to viewers, to listeners, in the same way that James Gandolfini was not Tony Soprano. He was playing Tony Soprano.
Are you sure? Do you know for sure, though? He's no longer with us. We can't even ask
not.
him.
May he rest in peace. What an actor! But Nick Wright, the Nick Wright you see on television is playing a character. That is what he's doing. He is looking to enrage you because there is money to be made in that enragement. And he is happy to turn on a dime. And he has been doing this for a long time. He is one of the offenders. You mentioned Skip Bayless there. He's another one that we can get into. But I mean, yeah, there's Skip talking about Johnny Football will be bigger in Cleveland, and these guys, they truly don't care. What they put out there for them. If they're right, great. If they're wrong, they'll move the goalpost. It gives them something else to talk about. It is entirely narrative driven. It's what they feel will get the most engagement at any one particular time. And by fan bases being enraged, it helps them. I mean, that Skip is you expect to see him burn a Cowboys jersey once or twice a year. You've got that Saquon Barkley to Philly does not scare me. I like it completely performative. Everybody, people may not have known how good Saquon was going to be, but everybody knew Saquon behind that Eagles offensive line was going to be a very good player.
Right. And for those of you listening, I'm showing a tweet of Skip Bayless, quote, Saquon Barkley to Philly does not scare me one bit, on why the Eagles are not a threat to his Cowboys. If you believe that, Johnny Football will one day be bigger in Cleveland than his buddy LeBron ever was. This is from 2014. And yeah, I think this just supports Colum's theory. We can just call it fact that these guys are just saying whatever to get attention. Nick Wright is an interesting. A lot of people call him Nick Wrong, but maybe he's one of these guys too. Knows what he's doing. Enraging. Trevor Lawrence is better than Josh Allen, and he was called a troll or giving hot takes for ratings. Tomorrow it will be conventional wisdom. Folks just pretend they always thought it. This is from 2023, 450,000 views, folks. So Nick Wright can say that Trevor Lawrence is better than Josh Allen, and it's okay, apparently, to be that wrong. But the crown jewel of today's show is where Nick tweets, speaking about Aaron Hernandez, I'm sure that you know the story of this, folks. If you don't, look it up. I'll stick my over-under on days. I'll stick with my over-under on days Hernandez spends in jail at 30.5, and I'm still taking the under. He's literally making a shit post about how many days Aaron Hernandez will spend in jail. So
a man convicted for murder when he was alive, lest we forget. And but the thing is, and now you've got the piece up from kind of awful announcing or freezing cold takes, you know, from like last year. Nick Wright picks the Bears to go to the Super Bowl. These guys almost delight in some ways in getting up there because again, it gets more eyes on them. And when things, so you know, they'll lean into it when it's hot and they'll move away from it when it's not. So because the Jags and Lawrence have really kind of become a nothing burger, you know, he was, I mean, Nick Wright dubbed him the prince who was promised, and he was kind of the next big thing, but it hasn't happened thus far. And because Jacksonville is a small market and it's not getting the play that it was, Nick Wright just doesn't talk about Trevor Lawrence anymore. You know, he's just moved on, and that's what I mean. He's found other things to lean into. What's hot at the moment, Mahomes and the Chiefs will always be there, so he's always going to have that. And then he just looks around and he picks whatever it is and what's going to enrage that particular fan base. Or last year with the Bears piece, you know, there was so much hype around Caleb Williams coming into the league, and that's how he operates. That's how these guys operate. And I am all for passionate takes. I think it's really good. I think sport operates best on passion, but fake passion, fake outrage, inducing rage bait, that undermines sport in my mind, Mike.
Yeah, I agree. It's not all harmless, and we'll call it out that way here on the Spin Zone. There's a difference. You know, we'll get into Stephen A. Smith and all the yelling and hot taking and stuff and what that's doing to, like just NFL sports coverage in general. That whole genre, I can't watch any of it. It drives me absolutely crazy. I guess Rich Eisen was on ESPN, did Sports Center the other night, and they had their highest ranked show in years. And all he did was come out and they played the old music, and he just did a straight Sports Center show, did the sports and signed off. And like everybody was like, please go back to that. It was so refreshing to just get the highlights, a few quippy jokes here and there. And it was so nobody's arguing about who's the best at whatever, or the greatest of all time or how full of shit somebody else is. It was just, maybe I'm old and I'm a get off my lawn guy, but man, I really appreciated that. Anyways, we're 45 minutes in. This is supposed to be a short and sweet little intro to the show. Colum, we're going to tease this a little bit. So the Spin Zone Time Machine, guys, this is going to happen. This will be more of a deep dive thing we're going to do here. We're not going to do it on this show. We just wanted to kind of get you guys all in here, introduce ourselves, have a little fun with some bad tweets, funny tweets. But there's a lot of history here. The time zone on this is just going to be like where the Baltimore Colts are gone. They moved in the middle of the night. There were Mayflower trucks pulled in. Off they went. Like, the real story behind this stuff is fascinating. Deflategate. It's one of my favorite covers of the Daily News. My balls are perfect. Now I don't know that's a direct quote by Tom Brady. I'll ask him. Not if his balls are perfect, but I will ask him if he said that. I think that'll be a good one to get into. Now the NFL is buying 10% of ESPN. I've seen this written several different ways, that ESPN is going to own part of the NFL network too. So we're going to dive into that. But folks, that's going to be an interesting situation, because I can tell you Roger Goodell is what you would call petty. And he's made that quite known. You are not going to believe some of the stories we have. And we're going to keep that on the down low. We've got a guest we're going to try and get in, personally involved in the situation. We will let you know when that happens. But yeah, Roger is the puppet master of the NFL. And now that they own 10% of ESPN, I think he's going to be controlling some of their programming or whatnot. It's going to be interesting. I hope the show is going to be interesting for all of you. Colum, what am I missing here? Did I miss anything? Quick call to action. I think we've got to, first of all, thank everybody for watching, and please like and subscribe. Comment below. Who would you like us to talk about? Who are your worst and favorites on Twitter or articles? Give us targets, folks. We'll go get them. Put them in the comments. Now we have an email address too, Colum. I think I saw that, like a NFL spin at Gmail or something. I'll put that in the comment section too. I'll make sure it's listed so you guys can get a hold of us. Send us those leads. We'd love to go out and get them. If you need a deep dive done on a story, hit us up with that too. We're here for you guys. Colum, you know what? Maybe we won't have to delete this one. I don't think it went too bad.
I think it's a good start. I think it hopefully gives our viewers and listeners a sense of what we are looking to do. And I think the only thing I would say is to emphasize what you were saying, Mike, in that if there are things that that people would like us to discuss, that they would like us to cover, if that is things from the past, if it's events, if it's media members, if it's stories, get in touch. We would be, really want to hear from you. What are the things that you might like us to dig into? What are the things that maybe you flashed up at some point and then you thought, wait a second, why did that story disappear? That seemed like that was going to be a much bigger issue. Why did that go away? Those are the things we want to talk about on this show, and hopefully will be both informative and entertaining.
Well, that's the hope. That's the dream. That's episode 1 of Spin Zone Power PR in the NFL in the books. Colum from Cork on Twitter, across social media. I'm Mike Carmelini on Twitter. Guys, reach out, find us. Again, I'll put it in the description so you can get a hold to us. But until next week, keep spinning, and we'll see you, right? You good with that? Let's get out of here.
Absolutely.
All right.